And with that said, let's go ahead and transition into our first topic of the night, Jordan. We're going to talk the Clemson 2024 draft picks. We had 6 guys get drafted last weekend in the NFL draft. Pretty exciting time to be a Clemson Tiger, man. I got to tell you, anytime a guy who has given as much as these guys have given to the program go on to hear their name called, I mean, it's a lifelong dream for most of these guys. And more will never hear that their name called in the NFL draft than will. But it's really cool to see a few guys get to realize probably their childhood dreams. And, you know, it started off in the first round, obviously, with Nate Wiggins. And we'll get into each and every player and where they got picked. But just give your thoughts overall on all the Clemson guys that were selected and, you know, kind of, what it means for those guys.
I mean, you can't overstate it. I mean, really, it's always just really cool to see, you know, the guys that you've watched, you know, come in as freshmen or even before that, you know, if you watch them as recruits and seeing them commit to Clemson and you know, kind of putting their future in the hands of Clemson University, Dabo Swinney, the rest of the coaching staff, and to see that journey be realized by hearing their name called, it's always really cool. And you know, it's for most of these guys, it's a lifelong dream, and just to see it come true is really, really cool. And just a great group of guys in general. Some really great stories, and really good football players that helped Clemson in a time where they needed it in a lot of cases. So really happy for these guys. And we had a couple more guys that have signed undrafted free agent deals, and we can give them a shout out too. And so it's really cool to see, you know, Clemson players every single year. That's one of my favorite times of the year when football is not being played, is seeing our guys getting drafted and going to the league and seeing that life-changing money that, you know, is not promised even for guys that are like 5-star, 4-star recruits. You know, it's not a guarantee. And so for that to be actualized is always awesome to see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's always really cool to see. And, you know, in some cases it's life-changing money. And in other cases, these guys are still going to have to grind to get a roster spot. They're still going to have to grind to make a 52-man roster. So the journey is definitely not over for them, but it's definitely exciting to hear your name called. And let's go ahead and give a shout out to the 6 guys that heard their name get called in the 2024 NFL draft. And it started very late in the first round. We were actually on the show. Actually, were we still on last week when his name got called?
We weren't on when he got selected, I don't think. I think we ended it. I think it was probably around pick 22, pick 23, I think, when we signed off.
Okay. Yeah. So we were hoping to hear his name called before we got off the show last week, last Thursday, when the first round was going on. But he did eventually hear his name called at pick 30. Nate Wiggins goes to the Baltimore Ravens. I think I mentioned it to you. We were talking after the show, and we were looking at possibilities of where he could go. And I was like, Baltimore would certainly be a place because of all the things that they lost off, all the pieces they lost off of that defense from last year. They obviously need some pieces to rebuild and kind of keep that train going for them. So wasn't a surprise that Nate Wiggins went to the Baltimore Ravens at all for me. Round 2, pick 35, Rook Orohoro goes to the Atlanta Falcons, which I think is a great pick for them. Excited to see what he does there. He goes and joins a couple teammates in A.J. Terrell, Grady Jarrett, Ray McLeod, Bradley Pinion, I think, is there. So he's got a lot of Clemson guys there that are going to welcome him into that facility, and he's going to be playing, you know, close to, you know, where he played college at Clemson. So that's really exciting. Round 4, pick 127, Will Shipley went to the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, excited for him. Excited to see what he does over there in the Eagles offense with Jalen Hurts and all of those guys. Round 5, pick 138, Xavier Thomas, Everybody knows how we feel about Xavier Thomas on this show. I was so excited. You text me when he got his name called. So excited. I wasn't watching it, so I'm glad you text me and let me know. So excited to hear his name called, man. Like I
Absolutely.
was really, I thought that would happen, but just when it finally did happen, just super happy for him. Hope he has a long career in there. And then round 5, also pick 155, Jeremiah Trotter goes and joins Will Shipley with the Philadelphia Eagles, completing the entire legacy of his father, Clemson, to the Philadelphia Eagles. Everything's full circle. And that was such a cool pick. It was cool to watch
Oh
like
yeah.
their GM and their draft room when they decided to pick Trotter, and they called him on the phone, and it was a pretty emotional thing, I think, for the Eagles and Jeremiah Trotter, just to kind of realize that childhood dream that he probably played in his head so many times growing up and seeing his dad do things in the NFL. So, and then round 6, pick 196, the last Tiger to hear his name called for the 2024 NFL Draft was Tyler Davis, and he goes to the Los Angeles Rams. Tyler Davis, I mean, what can you say about Tyler Davis? He's a blue collar guy, not flashy, doesn't talk a lot, pretty quiet, reserved guy, but on the field, he is completely dominant. He absolutely affects the line of scrimmage. He plugs up the middle. He makes it difficult for those interior offensive linemen to create holes for the running game. He can pressure the passer. So really excited to see what he'll do. So those are the 6 guys, Jordan. Was there any surprises there? Any thoughts for where those guys went and how you see those things working out for our Clemson Tigers that are now in the NFL, beginning their professional career in football?
Yeah, there were a couple of surprises. Not the guys that got selected, but the just in some of the positioning and where they got selected. Just to go through all of them, just a quick notes on all of them. Nate Wiggins really liked where he ended up. Baltimore, they're a physical defense. That's what they've been known for. He certainly can play physical. They've played in, he has the ability to play off and play man. And they need a corner like that, to go opposite of Marlon Humphrey. So he's joining a pretty nice secondary. Kyle Hamilton's still there, Marcus Williams, and like that. I think that's going to be a really good fit because he plays with that kind of intensity that you expect from a Baltimore Ravens defense, and he's also gets to reunite with his old teammate Trenton Simpson, who I think is could potentially have a breakout year this year as well. So love where he ended up. Rukaroro, I think he came as a little bit of a surprise. I thought he was going to go a little bit later in the second round than he did. But the Falcons, they traded up. They really wanted him. There was a run of D tackle pretty much after he was picked. So they got their guy. So that was really cool. So he's, like you said, he's going to go join a lot of former Clemson guys, and obviously the last undersized defensive tackle that was drafted from Clemson to the Falcons turned out to be pretty good, in Grady Jarrett. So,
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah, it tends to work. The Clemson has tended to work out in Atlanta as of late. So that was really cool to see. Who am I missing? Will Shipley. I think that was a great addition for Philadelphia. I thought they got great value too. Really interested to see kind of how he fits in that offense. They're going to use him also. I think he's going to be in the competition to be in that second, to be that second running back right away. And I think they're going to use him in a lot of different ways just because of his versatility in the passing game. So excited to see kind of how he fits into that whole puzzle. So happy for him. He's a hometown guy for me, so I've always been rooting for him since he's been in really his entire life, essentially. I think I first heard about him when he was in middle school, and just following his career through Weddington and to Clemson, it was always cool, and just to see him get drafted and see all of that realized was awesome. Then. Who am I? Who was next? Was it Trotter after him?
Hold on one second. Let me pull it back up.
No, it was Xavier Thomas, right? After
It
Shipley.
was. Sorry. Will Shipley, then Xavier Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. XT. Love the landing spot for XT. I mean, the Cardinals are a terrible organization,
Yes, they
as
are.
they've been for a little bit. But they're
Unfortunately, they didn't do much with our boy
Isaiah
um,
Simmons. No,
Isaiah Simmons over there. So
no, they did not. I think he's in a better spot now. But I think XT has a shot to really be one of the best edges on that team immediately. I think just I mean, we've said it. I mean, XT has first round quality traits, and his tape is when he's healthy. I mean, he looks as twitchy as anybody in his class. And so to get him, I know the Cardinals were excited to get him that late, and I know there were based on what draft analysts and scouts have said, there were a lot of teams that were hoping he would fall to them. And so he falls to the Cardinals, who are basically reconstructing that defense from scratch. And I think they don't really have any, surefire options there. And so I think he could potentially be a starter in year one. And that's exciting because he and XT has always struck me, with how his career has played out. I always thought, I think his best football is still ahead of him. And
100%.
He'll be a better pro than his college career played out.
Yes.
So really excited for him. And then, Jeremiah Trotter going to the Eagles, joining Will Shipley, following in the footsteps of his dad. That was really cool. I think he has a chance to work his way and be a contender for that linebacker spot. They don't have really answers at linebacker right now. So I think he's going to be in the mix to start right away. I think that, Nakobe Dean is still there. But they don't have any surefire, like, no doubt starters at linebacker right now. So that's I think that was a really good landing spot for him, and just the culture fit and obviously the legacy fit. It made too much sense, and I know that the Eagles were elated to get him as late as they did.
Oh yeah,
that was
they wanted him.
Certified steal.
Yeah.
That's
going to work out really well for them, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And then Tyler Davis going to the Rams. That Aaron Donald just retired, so obviously there's a little bit of a hole as far as their defensive line is concerned, and I think he has a chance to compete right away. High energy guy, always was at Clemson. Just from his with how he played. And he's an sort of undersized defensive tackle. But his play strength is extremely, is really, really good. I mean, you saw it at the combine. I think he was second amongst all defensive tackles in the bench press, and he's not even the biggest guy out there. So, really excited and interested to see how he kind of fits into that defensive tackle room in year one. I think all of these guys have a chance. I think they ended up in great spots for them to be contributors. Because I think the teams that drafted for need, and I think that makes things a lot the path easier for them to get on the field early. So really, really excited to kind of see how those guys fit into the equation for their respective teams, and how much they play as rookies, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for all of them. And and that's right. I wanted to give a shout out to Will Putnam and Jalen Phillips for signing undrafted free agent deals. Jalen Phillips signed with the Chargers, I believe, and Will Putnam signed with
the Raiders.
The Raiders. That's right.
Yep.
Joining.
And then Sheridan Jones signed with the Bills.
So, did he sign? I know he got invited to a rookie camp, a mini camp, but
maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't sign. I did see his name associated with the Bills. So
yeah, I think he got invited to their rookie mini camp, but I don't think he signed a deal.
Well, hopefully that turns into something for him.
Yeah, that's good. That'd be great for him. And I don't know of anybody else that I think was associated as of yet.
Not yet. Those were the names that I kind of skimmed the internet for and figured out those are the three that have been invited under undrafted free agent type deal. So shout out to them. Will Putnam, Jalen Phillips, obviously signing deals already. Hopefully Sheridan Jones goes there and presses for rookie minicamp and can get a undrafted free agent contract out of it and try to make a 53-man roster. And all these dudes, frankly, are just, they're going to be fighting for roster spots. The NFL is a cutthroat business, man. It's they operate in a very shrewd manner. It's very matter of fact. Either you make it or you don't. And just because you're drafted doesn't mean you're going to be a part of a 53-man roster. So I wish the best for all of these Clemson players. Hopefully they can stay healthy. I think that's the biggest thing when you're thinking about guys making the transition from college to pro, and kind of how long that the college season has become, and then training for the NFL combine, and then, training for pro day, and then you get through that, and then it's boom, right into rookie minicamp. These guys really don't get a break. So I think that's where a lot of these injuries come from. You see it a lot with these rookies. A lot of them, come down with injuries, and you just get banged up, and that can be the difference in you making a 53-man roster and not making a 53-man roster. So wish these guys the best. Hopefully they can stay healthy. I think most of them landed, as you said, in really good positions. And we'll just keep an eye on them from afar. I'm not a huge NFL guy, but I always look for the Clemson players out there, always look for them to have success and root for them while they're out there. So shout out to all the Clemson 2024 draft picks and those that have signed undrafted free agent contracts. We thank them for everything, obviously, they've done for Clemson, and hopefully they go represent the Paul in a big way in the NFL.